All right, all right. Hello, hello, everybody. How are we doing tonight? You just get the chat. Hi, Leanne. Hi, Doreen. Hi, Carla. Really awesome to see everyone again. And again, Carla from Oregon. My definitely one of my favorite places. I absolutely love Oregon. One of my favorite spots to visit. I've been over there to Portland and made the drive over to Sisters, Oregon. Beautiful, beautiful place. And greetings, Margaret from West Virginia, and Patrice and Stacy. Hi, everybody. How are you all doing? Hopefully, everybody's having a great week and a great evening so far. Carla needs some rain. We had plenty of it here in Houston today, so I feel like we should send some your way. I was a little bit worried I may not even have power to be able to do this tonight. So I'm glad so far at least it seems to be working out. Oh man, I would definitely love if you mean Washington State. I love Washington State too. Another favorite area. I got to spend a little bit time there several years ago in a small town called Bellingham. So I know the area a teeny bit. Awesome, awesome. So everybody ready to have some calligraphy fun tonight? I'm already starting inventing words. I can't help myself. Awesome, yeah. Washington State, totally one of my... I just love the Pacific Northwest. I'm a big fan. So awesome. Well, everybody ready to get started? I'm kind of excited because I have something sneakily special planned today. So let's see where we go. All right. So I'm going to switch over to the overhead view, and then I have a couple of quotes that we can pick from, and then we can start talking about some inks and stuff, and then I'll show a little bit about what we did last week. I feel like it's not done yet, but I'll show you where it is and maybe some cool stuff I wasn't able to show last week, and then we'll dive on into making something this week. So without further ado, let's swap over to the overhead, and I will switch on my extra light. So hopefully you can see the quotes a little bit better. And I will also grab the chat window so that I can see it. And howdy, Ann and Larry. I'm so glad that the sync is spot on tonight. Doesn't look like I'm coming out of a Godzilla movie this week, I guess. I think I figured it out, but let me know if anything still looks off. Oh, wow. Stacy's saying there's a lot of rain in Pennsylvania, it looks like. So looks like we're all getting doused with different kinds of weather this week. So the couple of quotes that I got ready, because this is going to be a little bit of a longer. I'm kind of excited to show the design. Oh, and I also think I fixed my camera problem, so hopefully I won't freeze. Let me know if I hopefully don't become a frozen person today during the stream. But let me grab one of my favorite pointers, the Pilot Parallel. So the two quotes that I thought of we could use today are... the number one, the greatest accomplishment is not in never falling, but in rising again after you fall. I for sure appreciate that sentiment. And then the second one and also another favorite, number two over here on the right, is how far that little candle throws its beams, so shines a good deed in a weary world. Oh, howdy, Strada. Great to see you, and let me know. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that okay. Okay, it looks like there's a couple of contenders already. Oh man, I feel like it's a tie now. Someone has got to start hopping in to break the tie. I think number one and number two are tied so far. So these are definitely a couple of my favorite quotes. So while you're thinking about that, also start thinking about ink. I've just brought a few pens that are loaded, and one is filled with red. This one's got violet in it. You can't see that, sorry. This one's got violet in it, and this one has got green cartridge. And I've also got a blue, so I could just load up a new pen. And then oh man, looks like number one is pulling away by a wide margin now. Oh, and howdy Yogi from Calgary, if I recall, my friend from Calgary. So yeah, start letting me know about the inks. Ooh, there's a vote for red in. And then that'll maybe help us pick what color we want to dip in. But in the meantime, I'm going to show you something cool from last week. So I couldn't show this as well, so I'm going to start turning off a little bit of the light. But today's sheet fell. So this is where last week's piece stands. And I had, oh, there it is. So I've done some of the outlines in silver, but this is what I was trying to show last week, but my flashlight didn't have a lot of juice left. So if you see this now, as I add a little bit more, or gave the flashlight a little bit more energy, you'll see, let me turn one more light off. So now things are really dark, but can you see how much that fluorescent ink lights up? So it's really cool. These fluorescent inks, you can do some really fun and interesting stuff. Let's zoom out. So maybe you can tell even if I hold the flashlight a little bit further back. It's a blue light flashlight, but it really just makes it makes these fluorescent inks glow. It's really cool. So I'll turn a couple of lights on and then you'll be able to see. There's that one. And we'll get this one back. So now you might be able to see that's the silver outline. So it's similar to the one from the previous week with gold, but it's in silver. But there's something about me just feels that this one isn't really done yet, that it needs something a little bit more. So I've only had a few days to think it over since we did the last stream for Legacies on Thursday. But feel free to let me know in the comments if you have any ideas or anything you think would be cool to finish this off. Because I kind of want to fill in these little border lines a little bit. But I was thinking of doing it with like a silvery pattern with that sparkle pop pen. But we'll see. So that's how this one is currently shaping up. Also looks fun with kind of that fluorescent design. Yeah, it's definitely got kind of a funky look. So yeah, okay, so where do we stand on the inks? I've seen so far a vote for the red pen, which I've now jumbled up a little bit. I think we've picked the quote, so we've got the first quote. So now we've got, I see Anne saying that's Anne and Linda are saying they were also going to suggest maybe some silveriness in the borders. I think that's what I'm feeling like, but I'm definitely not feeling like doing it solid. I kind of want to put a pattern in there or something. So maybe we'll see how it shakes out. Okay, so far if there's one vote for red, maybe I'll end up going with red. Let me know if you have any other. That's the violet pen. And I'm trying to find the red pen again. That's green. Just figures. It's always the last one you try. Okay, so red. There's my red pen. Alright, Leanne's agreeing with red. Okay, so looks like we've got our pen. So I have a bunch of colors next to me that we could dip in. We could do, like, this is a gold, kind of a metallic gold yellow ink. This one's kind of a more straight yellow, which creates some really interesting color blends. I've got a neon yellow, kind of like last week, that'll be fluorescent. I've got silver. I also thought it could be cool to do white. And I have a few other colors, like blue and green next to me. So I thought this week we could just open it up and you guys let me know whatever color you can think of, and I'll see if I can find one next to me. I'm seeing silver or gold so far from Carla. Okay, got my red pen. So here's gold. That's just yellow and fluorescent. And then here's silver. Okay, I'm seeing two. All right, red and yellow. This could be a really cool kind of a classical combo. Oh, that's a great. See, Natalia was saying a few videos I was going to show a modified pen. That is an excellent. Okay, you guys are going to get to see maybe something different. All right, well, this will be a fun experiment. I can do a really fast show on that, and then we can jump over. I'm just grabbing a scratch sheet of paper now that maybe I have next to me. Okay, looks like this is pretty clean. Just a set of Bristol. Okay, since we didn't end up using blue, I previously had red ink in this, so everybody ready for this? I feel like I gotta do a fancy reveal. Okay, so I'm zooming in. This is one of my modified pens, and I'll put some ink in it, and then you'll see kind of how it looks. Let's get that a little brighter too. Okay. So like fancy, I don't know, drum roll or something like that. So this is one I whittled away with a Dremel. And you can basically turn it into kind of a folded pen. So I had red ink in it before. If you can tell how the edge has been like whittled away, sort of. I don't know if it's called whittling. But I'm going to, because I'll otherwise create a big mess, you can see here, the red ink that just finished. Literally, I just finished this cartridge today. We'll take this out and we'll just put a blue one in here. And I think it'll actually probably start blending if I try writing with it. And you'll get to see just how fun these can be too. So there you go, just installed it. Usually I would clean the pen out, especially because I've kind of had this ink cartridge in there for a while. So usually I would clean the pen out. But yeah, we don't have time for that today, so we'll just dive right on in. So I'm just gonna cap it so I can shake it a little bit, just to get that ink flow going. I see some minds have been blown. I do actually want to record a YouTube video just showing how you can modify these, because I think people might have fun with that. I really do. I like practicing and fiddling around with this too. So if you can tell, let's see. Yeah, there's ink coming out. So it's for sure going to be kind of a blend. But yeah, you just kind of, I shaved off the edge of this, and now it will write a lot more like, just write the beginnings of my name. See, and I could press down on an edge and get a thin line or like a thicker line. So it gives you an effect very similar to a ruling pen. I see Tina saying, that's crazy, incredible, a Dremel. Yeah, honestly, I've heard people modifying these with a bunch of different tools, but this is really fun because you can have a lot of fun with these, like with this kind of like a ruling pen. And if you use slightly, like this paper is a little bit, it doesn't absorb the ink as well, but if you use like a paper that responds to ink a little bit. So yeah, if I try a paper like this that tends to kind of let the ink be a little bit wetter, you'll see the line can go really, really fat. So yeah, it's really cool. You can do this with a Pilot parallel pen. And go right Tina really quick. Something like that. So yeah, so that's one example of a modified pen. All right, let's slide this over to the side. And it sounds like we picked red. Let me just make sure this is still my red pen. It is indeed. And we went with gold, just from what I could see in the chat. Let me just mix it up in my fancy scientific mixing machine. A chuckle. All right, and then I will grab. All right, so I couldn't get this pattern out of my head for some reason for the past week, so I thought we'd try to do something that's not just circles this week. So let me zoom out and make it a little less bright now. So the outlines are probably a little bit faint, but I thought it would be fun to try something a little bit different, and that's why we've got a longer quote this week. Okay, so my goal for this one is I'm going to start in one corner and work my way around, and then we'll figure out this middle part on the fly, and then I'll do the other side. Hopefully we'll have enough time for me to actually write out everything in the middle at least. And then we'll see how it turns out. We're going red and gold. All right, I think the gold ink is mixed up pretty well. So I'm just gonna start, I'm obviously picking this fairly arbitrarily. I'll start on this side. Hey, congrats, Carla saying she got her Helix circle ruler today. I see Instrada saying, this tells me one day you should write our names. I would definitely be happy to do that at some point. I was actually thinking of doing that at some point in the future, even just doing it with Blackletter styles or with the with the modified pen. That could be a fun day. All right, so yeah, so this was I just kept thinking about this, like 2 circles with a straight line in the middle, and as I was kind of drawing this out earlier, I thought about, do I just keep the circles continuing on each side, maybe even try to like connect them behind, but I just kind of like this sort of a simple, it almost maybe looks like a logo, but just kind of seemed like a fun pattern to work with, and we'll see how it turns out. So it's similar to the previous weeks, where I've got the borders that I'll just probably do in a single color or some kind of color blend, and then I'll do the middles in this now red and gold color blend. All right, so let's get started. Just gonna put my other pens down next to me. So the greatest accomplishment. So starting with the T, let me just make sure I've got good ink coming out of this pen. So what I'm gonna do with this one is I'm going to, unlike what I was doing in previous weeks, I'm not going to overshoot these top and bottom curves too much. I'm just going to try to keep the lettering really tight down here, just because, especially when I get into this section, I think it'll look better if it's just kind of a tight bit of lettering around. So we'll start with the first letter, the greatest. Because if I remember right, we picked quote 1. So we'll start with D, and I'm just going to do just kind of a really short and tight T. Let's get some gold. All right. I always like seeing the mix of inks that happen on the tip. Okay, yeah, lots of juicy ink coming out this time. So again, just going to keep it fairly tight. Okay, B. There we go. Oh, and Tina's saying she missed the quote segment. Here's a quick recap. It's number 1 here on the left. The greatest accomplishment is not in never falling, but in rising again after you fall. So we'll see, and the calculations this week were very rough to see if this would fit. So again, I'm just going to do a really tight little E. Okay, the greatest. And if you've never tried the red ink from the Pilot Parallel, it actually does tend to be really wet. So it can kind of overpower other inks. But sometimes after you start writing for a little while, it won't be as wet. It'll dry out a little bit. Oh, looks like I'm going off screen a little bit. Oh, thanks Tina and Carla. I see everybody saying this will hopefully be a cool design. So, and I'm also keeping, if you remember in other weeks, I may have tended to go crazy with the E's. In this case, again, I'm also just going to keep it a little bit tighter. Let's see, greatest. Let's see. Oh boy, got a bunch of gold that time. And that can be the challenge sometimes of doing this dipping technique, is you do get areas that are really, especially after you first dip, you'll get areas that are really wet with a lot of ink, but I tend to just kind of work with them and let them just be extra careful and try to let them dry, or I'll move a little bit more quickly after I first dip the pen. All right, that's great. And then S. And I see Sarada asking about any tips to get the letters straight on a circular calligram. If you mean a design like this one, like what I'm doing right now, it's really about keeping those, like, just using those radial lines, like what you can probably faintly see here. Those will kind of help you guide your letters in the right direction. You can write as many or as few of those as you want. That tends to be the biggest help. For these, usually... Oh, I've already misspelled something. That's okay. We'll just keep going. The greatest, so now I'll just get in my S. It's a loose spelling of greatest. Okay. So yeah, those radial lines are what can really help just kind of make sure the lettering helps going in the same direction. And I see Natalie asking, what script are you doing here? So this script is actually one that I kind of came up with. It's based on Textura. Textura Quadrata is a more traditional greatest, to make sure I don't keep misspelling things. So Textura Quadrata is a more traditional script, but I kind of modified it into a style that I use. And like I have a couple of products in my shop that go over this alphabet in particular. It's just at blacklettershop.com if you want to check that out. But I do have a YouTube video that's on my channel too if you want to see kind of like a simplified version of that alphabet. Oh boy, I feel like this isn't going to be a good week for my spelling. I constantly want to misspell the letters today for some reason. Alright, see. Okay, and I see Tina asking about the descending S. Yeah, today I'm going to just keep it, today I'm keeping it tight just because I want to see how this pattern comes out, but you could absolutely do a descending S here. It's whatever you feel like. I just want to, I'm thinking about keeping it tight just so that when I get to this middle segment, everything lines up, because I may flip directions midway, or I may continue. We'll see what happens as we get closer. So the greatest accomplishment. All right, and this red and gold is looking pretty cool. I think it looks a little bit darker on the screen actually than what I'm seeing here live. So I'm gonna tilt it in a second. Excuse me. And kind of show you what I'm seeing. I might as well do it now. If you can see, it looks a little bit darker, and you can see that gold reflecting in the light. So I really am a huge fan of metallic inks. Thank you, Natalie. I really appreciate it. And I thank Carla for your question. She's been asking about watching the video on the basic strokes in the alphabet, and if whether I could have a workshop to go with the video. That actually, in that lowercase product that's in my shop, it's the minuscule alphabet, just at blacklettershop.com. That's got actually several books and worksheets in multiple pen sizes that you can trace over and stuff. So if you're looking for something, that I think that would really help. So hopefully that covers it. Let me know if you have any questions about that, and I'd be happy to answer them. So the greatest accomplishment, and again, this one's going to be a tight, like just a short little P, just so to kind of keep things smaller this time. Sometimes I like doing really super long characters. Sometimes when I do kind of these more complicated designs, sometimes when I do these complicated designs, I just like to keep things even smaller. So I'll do like a small L. So greatest accomplishment. All right. I see Strada, thank you. And Linda thinks loves the metallics. Yeah, metallic inks are so much fun. I have several of them. And they all kind of are a little bit different in the colors that they add. All right, so greatest accomplishment. All right, now we're getting into the straight section. Sometimes I feel like I do so many like circular designs and stuff. I have so much fun with those geometric patterns that I forget how to write in straight lines. All right, the E. So I'd be really curious to hear how many others have tried doing the Blackletter alphabet. Anyone else giving it a shot? Accomplishment. All right, now we're getting close to some decisions. Okay, so the greatest accomplishment. Now I've got enough room. Let's just go ahead and do the I. Okay, and maybe since we're right at the corner, let's see, maybe I do, I'm thinking about how to best kind of creatively fill that little space. And so maybe, I could do like a wide S just to keep the lettering finished. Let's try that. I'm always like advocating just kind of playing around and being creative. Let's see how that shakes out. I'm going to do like a wider S and see how that goes. That's a really wide one. Just to try something different. Okay, interesting. And then maybe I'll try to like model or mimic something on the other side too. I'm glad to hear that everybody's trying. This is great. See, Sarada's tried. Awesome. Awesome. And Anne saying I tried the alphabet with a broad edge dip pen, but that made it so difficult. Need to get some parallels. Yeah, I honestly, I'm such a fan of these parallels just because they make your writing life so easy. I honestly have not done as much with dip pens except for the automatic pens. And those I do like, but they really tend to only work with the biggest like thicker inks. And I saw Tina's got to run. Bye, Tina. Thanks for stopping by even for half an hour. Appreciate you having you here. Hopefully you have an awesome evening. Good luck with your meeting. And totally see you next time. You guys are all awesome. So cool to have a fun community here. All right, the next word is not. So I'm going to just turn around and go straight to the right. Now being careful to try to not smudge the work underneath me. Seems to be a constant theme, huh? I feel like maybe most of the battle is just trying not to damage the work you've already made. So is not. All right. Linda saying she thinks the S, the letter S, is the hardest one. I think it can be hard just because there's so many different ways to write it. Like it's got a very different shape than a lot of the other letters. The one that I probably find the hardest is the letter X, because it's got an interesting shape, and then you just don't write it very often. There's not as many words with X in it. So is not in. That's I, and then N. Okay, so I think decision time now. I think so. I've come close to getting, like finishing the word in. So I think I'm gonna keep this as kind of my symmetrical point there, and I'm gonna start moving in the other direction, and see how that goes. So especially since I kind of finished a word there, so let's start over here. And you know, I may do a quick clean. So let's do just a quick rinse, just because I feel like now, unlike the very beginning, I'm barely getting any red now. And that's what I was talking about earlier, how sometimes the more you work, the ink actually, like, it starts out with a lot of ink flow at the beginning. All right, so not in, never falling. So we're going to start the never here. Let's just start with red this time. I see Carla saying, oh, let's see. Natalie, what ink do you use to dip the pen? I'm starting with parallel pen, so I don't know much yet. Not in, never. So the ink that's in the pen is just one of the red ink cartridges. That this is actually one that comes with the pen when you buy it. And the ink I'm dipping in this time is, let's see. I believe it's Dr. P.H. Martin's. It's an iridescent gold ink. Let me see if I have the bottle right next to me. So the ink that I'm dipping in is this one. Dr. P.H. Martin, hopefully you can see that. I know it's reflecting some of the light. It's iridescent yellow. But it basically, it's very gold colored. Especially when you start dipping it with red ink, it kind of warms it up even more. Not in, never. Get the fee. I see Carla saying have to get some paper. Tried with some cardstock, not bad. For the ink but letters, that is another story. Yeah, I think paper makes a huge difference, to be honest with you. I've noticed, like, some papers that I've tried, the ink really bleeds. And that makes it just, I feel like if your tools aren't kind of working with you, it discourages you a little bit because you don't feel that you're creating the work you want to. And it's really not you, it's just the tool or supply that you're working with may not be best suited. So the paper that I'm using right now is Bristol paper, and that's kind of a heavy white paper, and I find it holds up pretty much to every ink that I've thrown at it. It's never falling. And if you want one that's a little bit better for practice, that you get kind of a little bit more value for the cost, that Strathmore calligraphy paper that I've used before is another good one. It's because it comes in a package of 50 sheets. And I feel like it holds up really well to a bunch of different inks. It's a little bit thinner, and it does kind of have a bit of a rough texture. Oh, and never falling. So it does have a bit of a rough texture, but that can actually add some interesting elements when you're writing. Trying to be careful, I realize I might have been going off screen. Let's see, I see. What are you teaching at Summer Creative Retreat? Aha. Someone's found some sneaky information out. I was planning to send some news about that very soon. I don't know, I feel like, let's see, not never falling. I feel like I don't want to let it what's the word? Let it out of the bag? Is that the right analogy? I can't think straight. I'm trying to let her remember the quote and talk. And now remember analogies. Apparently my brain has officially exploded trying to juggle all those mental tasks. But yeah, I'll let Peggy do the like the reveals. I don't want to ruin any big surprises, but I can tell you it'll be related to Blackletter. That's my cheeky response. So hopefully, I'm sure there'll be some news coming out soon. And if you hadn't heard, yes, there's a summer retreat that Peggy Dean will be hosting, and I'm super excited to be a part of that. All right, I see Carla asking, could you use a colored pencil? Oh, colored pencil paper Strathmore? Actually, I'm not familiar with that paper. I've never tried it. But I can say that not all papers work. I've tried mixed media. But in rising again after you fall. I'm not going to remember all that. Let's see. I've tried mixed media and found that mixed media works well. So let's see, what have I tried? I've tried in like white or colored papers. I've basically tried mixed media and Bristol, and those are the two that I've experienced that work well. There wasn't. Oh, I've also tried watercolor paper. Okay, let's even mid stroke. Let's grab some more gold. So I have tried, yeah, watercolor paper tends to work well. I think cold press is what I used. Sorry, hit the camera with my head there. There is another paper that somebody told me about recently. I think it's called Pacon paper. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm very curious to see if it'll work. Okay, but. And then I. So yeah, if anybody else has experience with other papers, I'd be very interested to hear. Especially that Paycon, since it's on my shopping list for the next time I'm able to get something from the art store, which is always a very dangerous trip. Does anybody else have problems not buying basically everything when they go to the art store? I see Doreen asking, how does the... Oh, is there a question that I missed from Sarada? Let me know if I missed one. I might have missed it as the chat was going up. But I see the question from Doreen, how does the watercolor paper perform? Honestly, I really liked it. Like, I found that it took the ink really well, and the cool thing about watercolor paper, and if there's a little bit of time at the end, maybe I can even show something that I made on watercolor. I could grab it in a second and even let this ink dry. But the cool thing I found is the watercolor, you get a really interesting texture. Like you can see this paper is very, very flat, but the watercolor paper has a really cool texture. Let's see, rising. Oh, got another S. Just gonna keep this one fairly small. I see Ted. Hey, greetings, Ted. Welcome. I see the craft store is my candy store. Yeah, I feel you there for sure. This is why I have so many inks around me. Too many trips, or too many... Maybe you could call them fruitful trips? If you get art supplies at the art store, is it a fruitful trip or is it a dangerous trip? You tell me. There's the G. I'm gonna do a short one again. The work is a hobby lobby, no be my... I ink, therefore I am. Well said. I love it. That is awesome. I may have to write that here one of these weeks. I think you've just decided on one of the future. Let's see, rising again. This is going to be a tight squeeze. Let's see. I got mixed up. There's the G and the A. So, okay, rising and then now another G. All right, and if you can tell, the red is starting to fade away again. So let's maybe give it a little bit of a cleaning. Hi, Linda. Oh, thank you. Technique is better than when we first started following me. Well, thank you. That really does mean a lot. I honestly feel like I don't get to practice as much anymore. I used to practice hours and hours and hours all the time, or all the time, or play, like I like to call it. And it is always tough to do stuff a little bit on camera. It's because I have to, as you could tell before, I kind of bumped the camera with my head. You want to get a little bit closer to your work, so I always feel like this stuff isn't my best, or isn't the best stuff, but I really do believe, just, you know, give it a try. Like, I really do believe that you can create some amazing stuff. I don't think anything I'm doing is magic or I've just done it a lot. And you can absolutely can too. Oh, was there a question about was there a question about where to get the supplies? Amazon definitely has many of the supplies for sure. Let's see, what did I do last time? Rising again. I feel like this N got away from me, but let's try kind of a crazy, wild, wider N. I don't know. I'm not liking that so much, honestly. So that just to, you know, even I totally don't like everything as it happens the first time, but maybe we can play around with it as I start to finish and see what happens. Rising again. Ted saying spelling. Oh, spelling my name wrong? Tamer. I think you've got it right. It looks like. Okay, so we're definitely not fitting the entire quote in here. Rising again. But that's okay, because we're having fun. So let's see how far we get. And it's a really short T this time. Alright. Linda asking if I have any tattoos. No, I do not have any tattoos. Then after. So let's see how to finish this. let's do the Y. And then maybe I'll just fill it in with one extra stroke. Okay, yeah. Just throw in something extra in there just to kind of fill in the gap. Alright, so there's kind of our interesting outline with the letters. And if you can tell, there's the metallic ink kind of glowing in the light. Alright, so next is where I would start to add kind of the finishing elements to the letters. Wow, we're already at 10 minutes. It's already at 8:50. So let me know. I definitely will finish this. And I think a couple of weeks ago we had a question about what do you do if you make a mistake or something. I mean, if you're just kind of working on something for yourself like this, again, this is a great example where I feel very comfortable now. Just I've got a design. I feel very comfortable now just playing around and maybe trying a crazy color for like the outlines or something like that. So let's just start here and let's do the little, maybe finish off the T's. I'm just going to keep them very constrained. The gray. Just smaller in this case. I'm trying not to smudge. Same thing with the eyes. This time I'll just do kind of a short. So just so you know, you don't always have to go crazy with the flourishes and the designs, especially with stuff like this that's very geometric and it kind of moves in a lot of different directions. It's not in, okay. And then let's go around this way. Here's an eye. So in the meantime, let me know what kind of colors you think for the outline. This one we can get really crazy with. But here and rising. But in rising again. Okay. All right. So here's kind of the main lettering, and I do think this one will start to look really fun with some outlines. Okay, I'm seeing green outline. Oh, everybody really likes the metallics here. Seeing, okay, gold. Let's see, we have gold, blue, green, silver. Green or silver. Sounds like green and silver so far. Apple green, so that's 3 green, silver. All right. It sounds like green is the winner. Metallic apple green. Okay, well, let's see with the last few minutes. We got a few more minutes now. I can show a couple of things. So let's see. Metallic green. Let's see, I've got this. This is a Posca paint pen. I think this is the one that we used in the black piece from a couple of weeks ago. Let me cap my red pen before I end up writing red lines on myself. Gonak, was that Linda Gonim green? That'd be, I don't think that exists yet, but it could be an interesting one. Gonim green. Let's see. I also have this pen, but it might be too thick. This is called, does it have a name? Metallic light green. This is a Molotow pen. I mean, it might work. I think the tip is relatively fine. And then I of course have I have other Molotow colors, but that's the only metallic. And everybody seems to like metallics. And I've obviously got the Micron. So let me know either any of these look particularly fun. I'll zoom in so you can see them a little better. And in the meantime, I'll grab, just to show that watercolor. Oh boy, I feel like the lettering was not the strongest this week. So this is an example of, oh, it looks like people are interested in the Molotow. So this is one that I did on watercolor paper. So can you tell? If you can see, the paper has kind of an interesting texture to it. So compared to the one underneath, can you tell the difference? So I really liked working on the watercolor. I want to keep working on watercolor paper, just because I think it really, like, the texture is cool and the ink really kind of responds to it well. So this one is an example. I'm a little bit happier with the lettering on this one, but obviously I think we're always our own harshest critics, so never totally happy. But yeah, watercolor paper works great. And I think this was, I'm gonna completely brutalize this name, but I think the company's called Grumbascher or something like that. But I've also tried Strathmore watercolor, and that one works great as well. So I think the winner was the Molotow one, right? Did I miss anything? Let's start shaking it up, and we'll draw a few lines just to see, give you a taste for how it looks. That's the one. Linda's got it. Yep. And I see Patrice saying, yeah, that looks like the texture, it adds a bit of difficulty. To be totally honest, I don't feel like it added too much challenge. especially like if you get used to using that Strathmore paper, the calligraphy paper, it might not be as big of a transition, but it honestly didn't feel that rough. Oh wow, this pen is brand new, so this will be its first inking. So let's see. Let's just get the. You just kind of have to push the tip in to get the ink flowing. Usually, yeah, there it comes. Oh, interesting. This is going to be a really interesting combination. Let's see how fine the pen is as we get close to the end of the hour. Yeah, Patrice saying the texture shows up well. I'm glad it came through. Okay, let's do a quick test with a sheet of paper under here just to see. Sometimes I'll do this. I'll just kind of put a sheet of paper and then just give it a quick tap and then see if anything shows up on the other side. This time it looks like it's fairly clean. All right, man, I feel like the timer is counting down. Oh, I didn't even do my middle lines. That's okay. We'll try. We'll at least get started just to see the color, and then maybe I can go back and add them. This is interesting. It's definitely very wet right now. I feel like it's a little bit more of a muted green. It's darker than I was expecting. Let me know what you think. I feel like this is going to end up being a potentially very Christmassy piece. Awesome. So yeah, if you can tell, let's zoom in a bit. Maybe when it dries, it'll show up more metallic. There, that's a little bit closer to what I'm seeing. So yeah, we'll see how this turns out. Awesome. So yeah, let's see, we will get the reveal next time to see how this one comes out. It's gonna be very warm. It'll be very cool. So now I've probably officially lost the pen cap. Oh, here it is. All right. Yeah, I think it's gonna look cool. Let me zoom way out. So this is what we've made today. I think it'll be, once it's done, I think it'll have an interesting look. And then we'll see how the other outlines and lines kind of add to it. Awesome. So yeah, again, I'm actually glad. You know, this week there were some. Let me switch back. This week there were some errors in the spelling. Hey everybody, back again. So this week we had a couple of errors in the spelling, or one at least, and you know, I don't feel like it's the best thing I've ever made, but hey, you just gotta have fun and try out different designs and just, you know, enjoy yourself. I'm gonna have fun like filling this thing in with different colors and, you know, seeing what else that I can experiment with this and see what happens. That to me is part of the fun of, like, if you make an error or something while you're working, just treat it as an opportunity to play around and try a bunch of different ideas that you might not have otherwise tried. So I really appreciate everybody being here this week again. Thank you for coming back again. And if you are able to like and subscribe to the channel, I do appreciate that as well. It really does help me quite a bit. I see Carla saying love the Strathmore paper in Becca's class. If you mean the workshop week video, yeah, it was this one. This is the one that I've been describing throughout the call today. It's just Strathmore calligraphy paper. So it's good. It's great paper. I really do enjoy working with that paper. So thank you all again for coming. I really appreciate you being here, and I'm really excited to see you next time. Every time it's really fun to see what we create. Just to give you, I keep them all next to me. So here's kind of the the few that we've created in recent weeks. So it's a pretty fun series. So everybody have a great night, and we will absolutely see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.